Hi, and welcome to the second hour of Mind Shifters Radio. Today is Tuesday, October 7th, 2025. And Mike will be with us in a minute. Welcome, ladies. Susan, Andrea, good to see you. And Susan, I appreciate your push on the pricing. I'm still doing some researching, and it seems like I even asked ChatGPT about it on the book. I'm clicking it open here at the same time.
Yeah.
And they're saying that it's kind of like a mind game. It's psychological that a $19.99 and a $9.99 for the ebook are the typical average. And if it's less than $10, I think, then you get like 70% of the sale. If it's more than $10, you only get 35% of the sale.
Weird.
It is weird. So I'm doing a little more researching on it.
And so this is just ebook?
For the ebook, it would be $9.99, and for the printed book, $19.99.
Oh, I see.
What they're
Okay.
suggesting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see where it goes.
Well, step up, everybody on the line. Probably not many people on yet. Bye, Jeanie spoke in advance. Yay!
Thank you. Welcome, Michael. Can't hear you.
Maybe I should unmute myself.
Yeah, that would help.
That would probably help. So welcome, everybody. Delighted we're here. And I got a note from Terry Bowling this morning, and we're getting ready in the Codependence to Interdependence Guided Self-Study to go into the Power Person Worksheet. And one of the things on the Power Person Worksheet is the pseudo-solutions of the non-being mind. So last session, Susan assigned everybody to do to walk through the Power Person Worksheet. It's a 19-page breaking down, like in minute detail, everything that needs to be looked at and dealt with and worked through in order to be free to the power person dynamic. And one of the sections in it is called pseudo-solutions. And pseudo-solutions are the constructs of the mind that prompt us to use tactics or behaviors that my mind convinces me that I can use to get my goal accomplished. You know, if this person doesn't love me enough, if I just rage at them, I'll force them into loving me. That would be a pseudo-solution. So when I load goals in my mind, my stress goes up, and my stress goes up, I'll tend to get closer and closer to doing what my power person did to me that I hated the most. When ultra stressed, that's the third level behavior. When someone isn't fulfilling my goals, that means my stress goes up. So these pseudo solutions, I'm just going to kind of briefly lay them out, and then Terry created an exercise that he did as he was doing this, and so he's going to share that with us. So these constructs, these perceptual constructs, are projections or reflections from the past of corrupt data stored in carbon-based memory, which pretends to be my mind. You know, what passes as the mind in the world today is not a mind at all. Unless you call what your computer does with information, serving it up in construct, you know, gee, I have a file on this, pull it up, there it is on the screen. Is that a mind? No, they call it a brain. It's just a carbon-based memory function. So these pseudo-solutions tend to block me out of the experience of my true self as love and inhibit the achievement of the goals that I have. So, and of course, it'll play the game of why is this happening to me again? You know, that who was it that said I think it was Einstein, that doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So I want to just briefly run through these pseudo solutions so we've got them fresh in our minds, and then we'll we'll step into Terry's exercise. I'm excited to hear. He gave me a little bit of detail of it. So just briefly, the first pseudo-solution is, and what I end up becoming if I try to invoke this 100% of the time. And that is the number one, and you've heard me say this all the time, if I could just figure this out. What, why, how did this happen? To do that, to carry out that pseudo-solution means you have to give up your human life and become a non-human thinking. Second pseudo-solution, I'll fight. Winning's what's most important. If I could just beat them, then everything would be okay. Once again, I give up my human life love to become a non-human attacking. Third pseudo-solution, if I could just forgive them or myself or the situation. And to do that, you have to give up your human life once again and become a non-human doing or a non-human pleasing. Fourth pseudo-solution, if I could just fix them, and you could substitute the word control. If I could just control them or myself, that is, if I or they were just good enough or could be good enough or could do enough. And again, if you follow your based memory into that pseudo-solution, then you become a non-human pressuring. And you put that pressure on yourself or others to, be good enough to be perfect. And we suggest you become a retired perfectionist. The next, number 5 pseudo-solution, if I could just find someone to love me or someone to love. And of course, the word love is totally bastardized in our culture to an inside out, backwards, and upside down, in that we think that if someone else is approving of us, or if I could just get their approval, then that is love. And it's totally false. Love is a noun. It's a state of being. It describes who we are. You can't get that from somebody else. You can't give that to somebody else. You can extend that to someone else. But this whole conversation, this culture about love relationships is all totally based in this pseudo-solution game. And so if I'm playing that pseudo-solution, somebody to approve of me, love, or someone that I could approve of, then I become a non-human faking. And the faking can feel very real. Number 6 pseudo-solution, if I could just control everyone and everything, and of course, to do that one, you have to become a non-human controlling. To strain and struggle to make up for a non-human life, a non-being life. And that means all kinds of stuff, always looking for validation. So to try to enforce that one has to become a non-human having, a non-human getting, a non-human consuming. Number 8 pseudo-solution, if I just project my pain deeply enough into my brain's image of them, if I could just blame them deeply, if I could just convince them and gather enough power over them to convince them that they're the problem in life, then I'd be okay. And of course, to do that one, you have to become a non-human blaming. Number 9 pseudo-solution, take the easy way. Just stay on autopilot, do the behaviors of the past. And of course, if that's what you do, you never do anything original, then, you keep doing what you always did, you keep getting what you always got, and that pseudo-solution leads to becoming a non-human replicate suffering victim. Number 10 pseudo-solution, if I could just prove I was right, prove I'm not responsible. And to do that one becomes a non-human convincing. Number 11 pseudo-solution, to obfuscate. To distract. We're seeing a lot of that in politics right now. Just keep throwing more crap against the wall, because the one thing you don't want people to look at, if you've got enough crap to distract them, to obfuscate, then they won't pay attention to that one thing. Of course, it seems like the people who are interested aren't going to let go of that one thing, so it's kind of interesting to watch that, how deeply the insanity goes with this obfuscation game. So the distraction, confusion, switching issues, or another variation on that one is, well, you did it too. Well, you know what? You're right, I did it too. But what we're talking about right now is what you did. And so let's stay on track with accountability. And then when it's time to look at what's going on for me and what my healing is, then let's switch to that. But otherwise, you did it too is just a way to obfuscate. And to do that, pseudo-solution 1 becomes a non-human. Confusing. Number 12, leave, escape, or fake it. Pretend I'm not angry or afraid, or get rid of them. And of course, 1 becomes a non-human, escaping, leaving to do that one. Hostility or any other drug, if I can just anesthetize myself deeply enough, I will not have to feel what's inside of me. And of course, the number 1 drug of the culture is busyness. Hostility is not an emotion, it's the number 2 drug of choice in the culture. So to do that one, you have to become a non-human. Addicted. Pseudo-solution 14, give up, it's hopeless, I'm guilty and helpless. I might as well accept that there's nothing I can do. And so to go into that pseudo-solution, 1 becomes a non-human, hopeless, helpless victim. And then number 15, I know better than they do. If I'm not the smartest person in the room, I will suffer, be punished and abandoned, psychologically annihilated. That's another power person dynamic and pseudo-solution. And so to engage in that pseudo-solution, 1 becomes a non-human know-it-all. And so there are the 15 pseudo-solutions we offer. And then, Terry, if you would unmute, I'm excited and looking forward to hearing what you're sharing. And this is going to be perfect preparation for tomorrow night's class in the facilitated codependence, because we're going to do the Power Person Worksheet with Susan. So it's all yours, Terry.
All right. Thank you very much. And I want to start off with thanking Andrea. She's agreed to be my partner. We started going through the worksheets last night, and we got through the first couple of pages, doing it line by line. I had consulted with you about that. And that is a great way to do it and hear it reflected back and to interact. So that's working out beautifully, and I appreciate Andrea's willingness. And the power person dynamic, was, of course, is introduced early on in the work. And I can remember having trouble from the very start identifying exactly which parent was my dominant power person. And what I've made a note on here was that they have matching bags of garbage. So there's a lot of similarities there that overlap.
Right.
And even though they would claim to be worlds apart in certain areas, like my father was, a violent addict, alcoholic. Mom never touched any substance, would not dare put alcohol or drugs into her body, But yet she had a bunch of rage that was hidden and buried under there for a while. And
Her drug of choice was hostility.
Yeah. That was her addiction, was the hostility, and blame was a big one. So I started looking at this, and I was thinking, okay, well, I'm going to go through here. Maybe I can get clarity by kind of rating each one. So I started with number 1. Okay, if I could just figure it out. So which power person that I'm looking at here, being my mom and dad as my primary power people, is what that I'm convinced of that, is that to do this, which was the one that would figure it out. So that was a tie. So I put a little B on there for both. I said, okay, let's just let it be whatever comes up for me. I'm going to call it a tie for right now. And number 2, fight. And that was easy. So Dad got that one because I've seen him. He was brutal. I've seen him beat people, unmerciful, and was subject to a few of those myself. But he was definitely the champion of the fighter. Forgive them or myself. And, Mom got that check mark. And that gave her a certain sense of being better than others, kind of thing, going on with that. Fix or control them. They were both pretty good at that, but Mom edged that one out, Find someone to love. Now that one, I marked it as neither. I've got mom, dad, both, and I had to create another category for neither because I didn't witness them applying that one. However,
Right.
I'm suspicious that that was probably at the core of both of them. That was there for both of them in the beginning before it became War of the Roses. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, they had sought each other. They were seeking another human for love to fix everything. Number 6, I gave that check to mom. And 7, strain and struggle. Mom won that one. Project my pain deeply onto others. Now they were both really good at that one. You know, Dad intertwined that one with the know-it-all. He knew if everybody would just listen to him, then he wouldn't be suffering because of all these things that they do. And this is where he also used his abilities to rationalize his behaviors, that he could do anything. His favorite expression was, "Those laws are just made by men. I'm a man. I make my own laws." So he therefore spent over half his life in and out of prisons, because there was consequences when you violate the rules of society, and
Right.
you end up in prison. Especially if you get to certain levels that he did. So with that, strain. Which one was on? Number 6 was that? I'll find someone to love. 6, control.
6 is
They
control.
both, yeah, they both had that. Mom edged that out a little bit. Strain and struggle, validation.
So you're scoring
yeah.
these. You've got a visual picture in front of you
Yeah,
where you're scoring
yes,
how much
exactly.
this was modeled. Okay, got it.
Exactly. And so mom was like champion of that one. They both have them, they're matching bags of garbage, just exactly like you described to us when you and Jeanie used to do your little skits together. That was great. I miss those and come out onto the stage. But let's keep going. So strain and struggle, mom. Project my mind, pain deeply enough. Blame them. That was pretty much a tie. Take the easy way out. That was dad. Be right. Never suspect the self. Prove that I'm. Yeah, they were at a dead heat on that one. Obfuscate. Dad was the champion there. Number 12. It was both of them. It was a tie with that, leaving, escaping in their different ways. Dad would just physically leave. He would be gone for years and then come back and raise hell and destroy everybody's life and then leave again. Mom would leave by going into workaholism and escape to work and withdraw emotionally and just not be there really for you in any sense of the real being there for a human. So then the hostility, that one was that was pretty much a tie, even though it's hard to reconcile that at times in my mind because of the extreme violence that my father would inflict upon people. It was bloody and brutal, and but it was still there. And yeah, let me take a little breath on that one.
Breathing with you. Yeah, that's.
And then give up. That mom was the champion. And give up is useless, hopeless. And I know better than they do. There's a dead heat on that one. If you just listen to me, and or this world would just behave the way that me being, especially Dad, was the smartest person. He thought he was the smartest person that had ever walked the earth. And so that was the 15th summary. And then I kind of tallied it up. I had mom had a little edge of like 6 wins, if you want to call it that. And Dad had 4, and then there was 4 ties and one neutral. That's the one that I talked about with that was probably there before they got to that point. And so that kind of helped clarify too. And I think what I had offered to you was that, well, I created a blended power person to some degree, and would vacillate back and forth between these solutions. And then I went back after this and looking at this and bringing this back up. And, this is what's so good, Michael, is that I'm able to do this. And I feel that little bit of upset and twist in my stomach come up, but just one breath and it just dissipates. But that's
Nice.
only because of 68 years, around 68 circles around the sun, and all the time that we've spent together, that it doesn't just crack me open like an egg, and
Right.
yeah. So I'm really pleased, surprised, amazed, and happy that I can see that level of healing that's occurred within myself. That's so beautiful.
Right.
I'm at a better place than I've ever been in my life. I had to go through the worst places to get to the better places. It's just the way it was,
What it takes.
And so with that, I went back and I said, well, let's kind of rate these as to which one I turn to as my go-to kind of, so to speak. So I said, well, my number one go-to is leave. I'm out of here. I remember I pulled that one with Dad, when I was 13. I figured out I could outrun him, then that was my escape with him. But actually, the memory just came back. My earliest escape was when I was about 5 or 6, and I just learned to read. And my reader, I was around 6 or 7. There was a lot going on then, and I won't get into all that, but the book was Chippy Chipmunk's Vacation. And Chippy Chipmunk would pack his little bag, the little kerchief, and throw it over his shoulder, and he'd take off on a grand adventure. I was always going into my room in the corner and pulling out my book and reading Chippy Chipmunk and escaping with Chippy. It would always bring up some emotions there. And
breathing.
Yeah. And Chippy and I would go on these beautiful vacations, and my mom got me an old copy of it when we were processing some of all this over the years, and I still have a copy of it. It's an old out of print, reader, and revisiting that. It's a beautiful, sweet, and bitter pill at the same time, when you really look at the dynamics. It's really beautiful that it was there for me, that there was no adult or person of any responsibility that could be there for me. So I had to find solace in the best way that I could, and that ended up being my solace. So I became an avid reader from that, and I would escape. I've read hundreds of books, literally hundreds of books. So that number one
That sounds
was
like a nice gift of that particular situation. At the same time, it's really pretty sad that a child of 5 or 6 needs to escape their environment in order to just cope. That's pretty heavy duty.
Yeah. That was my number one, and yes, it was a gift, because I even had developed the idea that a person can do anything if they have the right book. You've got the instruction manual there. All you got to do is read and follow the instructions. And I believe that everybody can do that. And I lived in that kind of a denial around that, anybody can learn anything, and all they need is a book and some time to do it. But that's another story. So the number 2 was hostility. So when I couldn't escape,
with your number one, number one, escape, what was the total score between Mom and Dad on that one?
Oh, that's a great one. That was a tie.
And the total was?
Well, with that one, they both got a point for that one, but Mom had 6 points total. Dad had 4, and there was 4 ties. This was one of the ties. Number 1 was a tie. Number 2 was a tie. the hostility. They both
Yeah.
exhibited, equal amounts. So I was adopting the behavior that was modeled by both of them, and in number one and number two. Number three, and feel free to interject at any time if you feel something or see something. But number three was struggle and strain to make up for non-being life. So I would become an overachiever, a workaholic. I had to make all A's. I remember that I was set to have the all A honor roll, and a substitute teacher made a mistake on entering one of my test scores, and I was tracking everything meticulous. I was in the 10th grade. And when the report cards came out, I was so excited because I was going to be on that. They put it out in the school newspaper, the A honor roll, and then of course the AB honor roll, and then the A honor roll was a very smaller number. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be recognized. This is great. Well, when it came out, I didn't make the cut because she'd given me a B by accident, by mistake. I went into a rage. I went straight to that room and I terrified that lady. And I couldn't believe the rage that was coming out of me, and neither could anyone else. She was in tears.
Sounds like the power person dynamic took over.
Yeah.
That brought such a level of stress. You defaulted to exactly what, the same energy, the same words you're using to describe is what you described as your dad's rage.
Exactly. It was just, it was horrific. And she was crying, reduced to tears. And then, of course, then I spun around and left, and that was my exit. So that was a big thing. And then I never bothered to try to achieve that goal again. And that's another one of mine where you come down to it's just useless. What's the use? It's hopeless. Just give it up, forget it. See what happens when you try. You just get screwed over in the end, that kind of thing. It'll be going on.
That'll be a good thought to sort of be forgiving.
You got that right. Let me make a little note there. I came across the old sheet that was in the one of my notebooks there, where you have it, where you list all the future worksheets. Right. You can put like 20 on a page. That's a nice tool to keep around. So that was what was that at there? Number two, hostility. Yep. Number three, oh yeah, that was me trying to be perfect and make the honor roll. Number four, then I decided I was going to figure it out. How can I figure out what's happening and be in control, and give up my human life by figuring this out. I'm going to figure all this out, Then number five, then I got a little older. This was all happening in my, teen years. Number five, right. I found someone to love. 14, I felt head over heels in love. This was the answer to all my problems. I quit messing around with the gangsters and the dope and all that stuff, I became a model student and was going to live my life gloriously. I had this perfect love and started dreaming about the house I was going to build in the forest and the whole thing. I just jumped into the whole creation, and that was strong. That lasted for a while,
you discovered she had the matching bag of garbage.
Yeah. Well, she wouldn't behave. It's like, it was more. She just wouldn't follow. I wanted to.
She wouldn't follow the pseudo-solutions you had for her, right?
Exactly. I had it all mapped out, and she wouldn't toe the line, So then I started slipping a little bit, and then the next thing you know, I'm moving out into the back to the addictive non-human number 13. I using the drugs and going deep into that. Ooh, yeah.
Big one. Well, when you talk about the blended power person idea, My
Mhm.
my offering is one of the ways, like, we tend to have many power persons, and in
Yes.
different arenas, we'll tend to have a different power person. So in the arena of money, we might,
Mm.
have one power person. In the arena of sexuality, it might be another. In the arena of food, it might be another. In the arena of study, it might be another. In the arena of work, it might still be another person. And the way you
Aha.
can
Yes.
tell who your power person is when you're ultra stressed, whose behavior do you do?
Yep. Oh,
Now,
okay. So with money, it's dad. With
there you go.
sex, it's dad. It's dad. With food, it's mom and dad, but mostly mom. With studying and work, it's mom. It's mom. See, now we're back to a tie. They got two and two in a tie. So that's interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, and insightful.
And we can have both active. I'm not sure how blended they would become, but certainly, when you realize the thing that installs a power person dynamic in a child's mind, and again, it's usually a child with a parent, though not always, is three things occur. One, that that power person has more power over your life than you do. Two, they're not functioning as a human, as love. And three, you perceive it as survival. So you could easily have those three conditions met around any one arena. And so both
Can you
would,
say that one more time for me?
yes, three
I
things
blinked out there.
install a power person dynamic. The power
Mhm.
person, usually the parent, has more power over the child than the child has.
Look at the phone. Hold on a minute, Michael. I got somebody. I, I, I sent you a text for the combo on the door there. Oh, says who? All right. Sorry about that. One of my guys
Yeah.
showed up here on this
Cool.
project.
Okay.
All right. Number
So
one. Number one.
number one, they've got the power.
They have
Power
power.
person's got more power in your life than you do. Two, they're not functioning as love.
Okay.
And three, you perceive it as survival.
Uh-huh.
That's when the energy field of the child opens wide and becomes like a sponge and literally just sucks every energy in the environment into the unconscious. And it doesn't matter. It is an energy dynamic. The power person in rage doesn't have to say a word, but every thought, every energy is absorbed by the child. And oftentimes, decades later, will come out in exactly the same words the power person said 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So once those three things occur, the field opens, the child draws that in, takes all that energy in, and then for the rest of that child's life, unless and until that power person dynamic is confronted, uncovered, and forgiven, removed, then there are only three behaviors possible in that child's life. It doesn't matter if that child is 90 today, but there are three behaviors that will control, and it depends on the level of stress that they're under, which will control. So when there's little or no stress, we will do what we did to get along with our power person. This is the automatic decision system from Laws of Living. We talked about the automatic decision system in the mind. So it will
Right.
kick in and force us to do what we did to get along. When stress starts to build, we'll shift out of that, and the automatic decision system will kick in, and it will force us to do whatever we did to resist and survive with our power person. And then when we become ultra stressed, that automatic decision system will kick in and will do whatever our power person did to us that we hated the most. And my offering is that's what runs the world.
Yes, definitely.
And recognizing it, applying forgiveness, dropping into it directly, which tends to be pretty intense because those dynamics are pretty intense for most people. Then they can be dissolved. And there's an interim stage where my automatic decision system is counseling me to do this, but I've been doing some work. I've been developing the ability to be the thinker apart from the thought, the feeler apart from the feelings, the actor apart from the actions, and I've been originating from being more. And so I can, oftentimes there's a battleground there. That was called the Battle of Armageddon. There's a battleground between my mind comes up with this power person. This is what you do. You hated it, but this is how they won over you, and so this is how you'll win here. That's the logic of what's stored in carbon-based memory. And being comes in and says, no, I have a different idea, but there's a war between the two. And then once you've delved fully into the power person dynamic, confronted it, brought it forward through breath to the presence of love and dissolved it, then that's just gone. It maybe there's, oh yeah, I can remember when I used to do that, but now you're able to originate from being what you really are about choosing to do. That fit makes sense?
Oh, definitely. That's a 100% online. Been there, done that, lived that show, produced that movie, directed that play. It's like it's
You wrote the book.
live and in color. It's like, yep, and it's just so right on track. And like you said, if there's not conscious awareness around that and the willingness to clean it up, it just keeps on going and going, and you're just in oblivion. You just don't know you're even doing it. You just think you're being right.
Into activity. Yeah, it gets resonated into activity, and that's it. It just takes over awareness and consciousness. And, people can get lost in one of those dynamics. They can start to do their work. I've seen it take 10 years for somebody to come back. I think about one person years ago who was really into this, and their power person dynamic came up, and they just disappeared. And it was about 10 years later they came back, and it's like, now what was that you were saying?
Yeah,
okay,
that's
I'm ready
me.
again.
I'm just laughing because I apply that to you. That's like, oh yeah, Michael pissed me off. I'll see you later, buddy. And it'd be like 2 years
now,
later.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute, Terry. Now, you've never had to do a worksheet on me. Now, that's not. Listen, everybody who's on the show, he's never had to do a worksheet on me. That's as you each know. None of you ever have, right?
I pretended like it was you.
Oh dear, what fun!
And man, the stories, and the closer I got to deep, true healing, the worse the story was.
Yeah. Well, again, it in hiding, it runs the show. That insight that Carl Jung had, until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will direct our lives, and we will call it fate. And one of the reasons, the real solution to all of it is, can I open the space to bring being into my physiology, into my mind, into my emotions? That's where the healing is. However, not many people who are lost in the middle of their muddle can just step up one day and go, oh, okay, I understand. That's what I'll do, and then do it. Because there's so much resonance of this old generational pain and trauma that's maybe going on in the bloodline for 100 generations. And one of the reasons for doing the work on the multi-generational database on the mind is, the closer you can get that thing to truth, the more of the errant dynamics, the more blockage of truth you can free yourself from and bring the database into alignment with truth, the less interference there is from the database with being able to open the gate and step into the world of being. Go back to yesterday and talk about, hey, the gate's really narrow, and there are many people who are going to find this gate. It's so narrow because they don't have the tools. But correcting the mind, and then the mind actually falls in line and supports that stepping up, and then ultimately the mind becomes the footstool of being, rather than, that parable about the master bound by the servants, or that in his own household. That's where most people live. The non-being mind is meant to be your servant, and it runs most people's lives. So the transition is definitely a chunk of work.
Yeah, and I've made a note. It's like, for most of us, we don't even know what being is. We think it's one of these pseudo-solutions or some other, mythology or the story of the month, and that's where jump from one master to another to try to find a secret, because
Yep.
you gotta connect with somebody that knows what being is in order to be able to guide you and coach you along and to help you to get there,
It is definitely a process for sure.
Mhm.
So thank you for introducing that as an exercise to go hand in hand with the pseudo-solutions, having that visual picture of, how many times this power person did this, then that, and that. It really, I think, I can see where it helps to become that thinker apart from the thoughts, to be able to see that when it tries to take over, and would be another big step in reversing the roles of the non-being mind and functioning truly from what the ancients called the mind of love, or the mind of Christ. Cool.
Yeah, with
Well, I
these
hope.
recent rounds of openings and healings that I've been experiencing, I've truly been excited and looking forward to getting into this thing. It's like it's really nice. It's really nice to
Cool.
have that attitude.
Yay.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, any other thoughts for you, Terry?
That's pretty good. We can see what else is stirring for some of the other folks out there. If we got anybody that wants to share, and
Cool.
I'm going to continue working through this and with a whole new level of appreciation, understanding, and excitement. I'm going to throw a little
Awesome.
joy in there too. Yeah.
I'll join you in that for sure.
Yeah,
The original
right.
incredible Jeanie. Yes.
Yeah, joy be good.
All right. Well, that resonate anything for anybody else? Celinda, Susan, Jeanie? Push that mute button. Well, if no one else has any thoughts, looking at the whole idea of the power person dynamic, and recognizing that the key tool to use there is that of becoming cognizant of the goal that drives the mind to produce a construct based in the power person dynamic. And the fact that this man, Yeshua, 2,000 years ago, he had to comprehend Carl Jung's statement about, until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That he developed a tool. It's like, it still just boggles my mind when I think about it. That 2,000 years ago, he had a precise way with which to access the unconscious dynamics. When he says you must forgive from your heart, he's not talking about a bleeding heart statement, letting somebody else off the hook, but that you must go into your own unconscious, your own heart, access those things and remove them. And that tool has been around for 2,000 years and hidden. And I understand why it's hidden, because not one of the pseudo-solutions would tolerate repair if it's running the show. Celinda, you have a thought for us, young lady?
Yes, I do. I'm right on with what you all were talking about today, and I'm seeing the results of choices I'm making and awarenesses I have that you have helped me develop for myself. And I just want to say that, for one thing, if I could somehow access those 16 thought disorders, I'd really appreciate it, because I'm going to work on them.
Yeah, I think when we recently talked about the Power Person Worksheet, the 19-pager, if I remember correctly,
Okay.
you asked Jeanie to send you a copy of it. So you've got it in your email, and those pseudo-solutions are listed in the Power Person Worksheet.
Oh, perfect. I shall check and make sure I haven't deleted it by accident. Yeah, it's funny how we heal in the timing that we heal in. And there are so many things that I am now realizing they crossed under my nose, and I wasn't ready. That ego part of me was not ready to let loose of its grip and to feel safe enough, if you catch my drift.
I hear you loud and clear.
But I do want to go ahead.
I was just going to say the pseudo-solutions are on page 3 of that worksheet.
Oh, perfect. And Terry and you, thank you so much, because I shall look at that seriously. I've realized just listening to you that I'm more power people than I realized in different arenas. And also, I'm very grateful for each one of our unique and individual learning processes. That part of that, we're all doing the best we know how with the tools we've been given, or with the pain we've been given. And so I'm very grateful for each one of us finding our own unique way by the grace of Rucha, and are opening ourselves to Rahma. And I went into the cataract surgery yesterday. I was awake the night before, and I asked to be shown I asked specifically to be shown how to be in love rather than in fear. And it was amazing, because I couldn't believe how calm I was in that context, and how well the surgery went. So, and I have an after appointment today, the next day appointment with the ophthalmologist, and he is an absolute sweetheart, very gentle, kind soul.
That's nice. I can remember my mom had cataract surgery. She was in her late 80s when she had that done. And when she opened her eyes, she broke into tears, because she'd forgotten how the world looked. And it was just such an overwhelming experience for her. She just broke into bawling tears at how beautiful it was, and what she'd been missing with this cataract over her eyes.
Well, the ophthalmologist did say that a lot of people have these filters over their eyes, and I'm really relating that in a spiritual sense, that when we're very tiny, we put these films over our eyes just to protect us. And what I'm finding that is interesting is, since yesterday's surgery, that there was a dark, like sepia kind of film over my left eye. And I've been right eye dominant all of my life. And when I got out of there, I thought I was in an ultraviolet light tunnel. And I talked to the ophthalmologist yesterday, and he said, "This is a clear lens, dear heart." He didn't say dear heart, but that was his energy.
Right.
You are seeing life as it is for the first time with that eye. And I said, yeah, but there's this wonderful green tint to everything with my right dominant eye. And he said, oh, that'll go away. It's another film. And I said, wait a minute, I'm very fond of that green tint. He says, you'll get used to it. And what I'm noticing now is that my left eye with this lens is becoming the clearer eye, the better vision eye. And it's almost like my body is saying, okay, this is your dominant eye right now. I just thought
Safe
I'd
to
share
see.
that because,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, safe to see.
So, yeah, it's safe to see.
You get a whole new look
Yep.
at Larry.
Oh, yeah. And his rainbow suspenders, which we both love.
Cool.
All
Awesome.
the old ranchers and farmers love rainbow suspenders. So carry on, dear heart.
All right. You have a blessed one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, Miss Susan, do you have any thoughts for us today?
Hello, Michael.
Hey there.
Hey. Well, you know how it is. When the brain is so stuffed with stuff, you don't know where to begin. That was a good piece of work by Terry.
Yes, I thought it was very creative, Terry. Thank you for it.
Yeah,
Another way to step back and become the thinker apart from the thoughts.
yeah.
And if you haven't looked at this worksheet lately, that's actually how it's titled. It's a
Is it?
deep, detailed Power Person Worksheet. But
Well,
then the subtitle is On Becoming a Thinker Apart from My Thoughts, the Feeler Apart from My Feelings, the Actor Apart from My Actions.
mhm.
So, Terry, definitely takes that whole thing to another level.
Yeah. Terry's a good support person. I know he's there if I need to have a discussion about anything Al-Anon related. So that's
Yeah.
great.
And he's been around the work for over 3 decades. So
Yeah.
powerful support in that arena, too.
Yeah. So, well, I've been just working on doing what Carl Jung has said to do, which you also say, and Tim Hayes certainly says it, is get the shadow out there so it's not a shadow and have a good look at everything and don't beat yourself up for what you find.
Yeah. You might want to shift the language of that last instruction to, and be loving, gentle, and respectful as you embrace yourself and allow those things to surface. That
That's
old
very good,
regulatory
Michael.
speech about beating yourself up is probably time to be finished with that one.
I think so. Yes, that's
Yeah,
true.
it's like
You know, I
time
still
to
don't
just
catch that stuff.
embrace you.
That's very nice.
You say you're catching that stuff more and more all the time?
No, I'm saying you still catch me. Right. You still catch those things. That's good.
Mm,
Thanks. So,
definitely. Holding the space.
thanks.
Awesome. Well, any other thoughts for you today?
Not really, Michael. I'm sort of in a semi-vegetative state.
Okay, well, that can be a good place to process from. So we'll hold the space that the processing is powering and empowering and takes you to the next level of what you're ready to go to.
Well, I thought of Terry again the other day because, it's step 4 in the AA 12 steps is I did a fearless and thorough, I'm rewording, assessment of my life. And I figured that's what's been happening with all these journals. It's taking a long time to finish step 4, Terry.
Well, not many people have done the kind of detailed inventory you've done and kept it all those years. So, yeah, it's a great tool for review.
Yeah, it's quite amazing how long I've been practicing some thought disorders. So, I mean, since early childhood, pretty much. So, anyway, thanks for the invitation to talk. I don't have much to add.
All right, dear heart. Holding you in our hearts.
Thank you.
All right. So everybody who's on the show has done the Codependence workshop. So if you feel, I know that you haven't been participating, but if you feel like joining tomorrow night, it's at 7 o'clock Eastern time. I think you both have the link for it. If you want to listen in, what we're going to do is I'm going to walk Susan, who's been facilitating. We're in, I think, the 8th week now, or the 9th week. But what we decided on Sunday is, with the Power Person Worksheet coming up, that I'm going to walk Susan through the Power Person Worksheet. So she's going to be the subject of it, and I'm going to facilitate doing that. So if anybody, if either of you want to join us, you're certainly welcome to do that. And that worksheet starts out with step 1, the same way as the Why Is This Happening to Me Again worksheet starts out, and that is, I, Michael, who am love. So starting right from step 1 of acknowledging who you are. And to me, the importance of recognizing that that is the solution, is bringing in not just the awareness of who you are to this carbon-based memory system, but bringing who you are. So I, who am love, when experiencing elevated levels of stress, have been tricked into believing that the perceptual constructs of my mind, my realities, are true, when in fact they are just reflections and projections of the dissociated content of my own carbon-based memory. My work is to uncover, recognize, come face to face with, and forgive my thought disorders, the hidden, pained parts of my mind that result in disturbances in my perception, discomfort in my emotions, and disease in my body. What I need to own and understand is that when fear and or hostility are active in me, my mind is using corrupt data. And that corrupt data is based on unresolved, unconscious, powered person dynamics that construct the picture, the world that I think I see, the world that appears to be outside of me. Until these dynamics are uncovered and healed, I will live in my own self-generated, why is this happening to me again experience. And being a creator, life will relentlessly cooperate with and deliver my unconscious creations. It's the most amazing system. So holding a space and appreciation for you joining us. Terry, again, I think that was a great piece of work to do. And thank you for sharing it with us. Extending love in everybody's direction. Go ahead, Terry.
I said it was my pleasure. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Have the best year yet of your eternal life. Blessings. Bye-bye.